Hey there once again, YouTube family. This is Tim from Mods in Motion, and I wanted to just give you an update about my next project on the car. As many of you know who have been watching the series, I guess, I recently replaced the springs on my car, and of course, while replacing the springs, I noticed how, how old and worn these calipers were. I also replaced the rear brakes and that whole setup back there, so I wanted to do the same for the front. So I'm going to go ahead and just replace the calipers here. This car is literally almost 40 years old as of next year, and so, you know, with age, you just kind of want to, just for peace of mind, I'm going to go ahead and just replace the calipers here. I also wanted to replace the brake hose, but it seems to be still in decent condition, and I didn't want to wait for that, so I'm just going to go ahead and replace the calipers. Okay, so my biggest reason for wanting to go ahead and replace the caliper is because, if you can, I don't know if you can see the bleed screw right here. Let's see if we can get, yeah, right there. The bleed screw right here, it's rusted and rounded off. So I went to check the price on that. They're like $5 a piece, and literally by the time I replaced those, I spent $10-12, and the calipers themselves were only $22 a piece. And so I opted to just go ahead and replace the entire thing rather than just replacing that rusted, rounded off bleed screw. And so I'm going to walk through the process and ask you to walk with it through the process with me, and I'm going to get ready to do that. As always, before we start working on the car, you want to grab some safety glasses and any other protection you might need while working on the vehicle. Next, you want to remove the negative battery cable from the battery. For the next step, you're going to safely jack up the car and support it on jack stands. So we're going to just allow this fluid to run out of the brake caliper into the pan here. And it's a good idea to plug the inside of that line with a piece of, I used a piece of plastic, rubber hose or something, just to keep that from leaking out from the master cylinders before you have a chance to put it on the new caliper. Alright, so we'll go ahead and get ready to remove the two retaining bolts for the caliper, one here and then one down at the bottom. This requires a 3/8 inch Allen wrench to remove those bolts. Okay, so these are the new brake calipers I'm going to be installing. Again, this is going to be basically a daily driver, so I wasn't looking for anything with a lot of performance. I wasn't going to install bare brakes or anything like that. This is just a daily driver. And so, like I said, I'm going to be putting on these new calipers and also installing a set of brake pads, and we're going to get ready to get this started. Alright, so as you can see, we've got the old one off. This is the old one versus the new one. It is quite crusty and Being quite old, the shoes look good. However, like I said, this is the main reason I wanted to change the caliper, because this nipple here is, that bleed valve is frozen and crusty on there, a bit rounded off. So again, it was more cost effective just to go ahead and change out the entire assembly as opposed to just trying to get these pieces and work to get that one out. So of course it's the old one versus the new one. So we're going to go ahead and reinstall this, and it's nice and shiny, of course. Maybe I'd like a little different finish, but the gray is fine. It'll do just fine. So here we go. And also, before we install the caliper, we're going to go ahead and break the bleed screws here. It's already a little loose, and so we just want to just barely tight enough to kind of hold the fluid in. And of course, we're going to take and spray the rotor with a little brake and brake dust remover, parts cleaner. Take and clean that up a bit. Alright, so now we're ready to install the new brake pads onto the calipers, onto the new caliper. And we'll get ready to do that. Next we'll remove the mounting studs. Now we'll remove the retaining bolt for the brake hose. So we've got two brass washers on that bolt, retaining bolt. One goes, it's going to be in contact with the part, like so. And then of course the other one goes next to the head of the bolt. So now we're going to install the new brake pads, but before we do, we're going to add a little lubricant, and we apply this everywhere the brake pads will be touching the caliper, so that it will make sure the brakes travel the way they should, and you don't get a lot of squeaking and things of that nature. This is along the back of the pad, and the grooves of the pad. And now we'll install the brake shoes, brake pads rather. Alright, so we've got the new one in place. And we'll go ahead and put the pins through. So now we're about ready to reinstall the the bolt for the brake hose. We removed the plastic that was keeping the fluid in, and then we sprayed the fitting with a little brake dust cleaner. And so now we're about to replace that back into the caliper. Alright, so now after installing the caliper, we have a nice clean installation. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to check the master cylinder. So now we're checking the fluid in our master cylinder, and we want to make sure that that fluid has not gone down completely, which it hasn't. It's pretty low, but it didn't go down all the way, because you don't want all of the fluid to go out and then end up bringing air down into the master cylinder. So we have to make sure we watch this level at all times while we are bleeding the brakes. Okay, so we're about to add some fresh brake fluid here, and anytime you do, you want to make sure you follow your manufacturer's guidelines, and in this case we're going to be adding DOT3. Alright, so I'm going to open this up a bit. That should allow fluid to start coming through. Squirt. Air out, and as you can see, it's coming up and bubbling through. It's pulling it up and out. And so I'm going to be looking for two things. Number one, I'm going to be looking for when there's no more bubbles, and also number two, I'm going to be looking for when the fluid becomes clear instead of amber like the old fluid. So I'm going to be squirting a while, and we'll get back to it after it clears up. Alright, so after bleeding the brakes, we're ready to move on to the other side. And as you can see, new calipers are a welcome addition to the car, the overall look of the car, as well as the safety and peace of mind of driving the car. I am going to do a few other things also. I'm going to keep you guys updated with all those plans that I have. And eventually I'm going to go ahead and just present the car as a whole. So again, thanks for watching. I hope this helped you guys and wanted to share it with you. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon.